Hello, everyone. Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review of The Outsiders #1. This is a new book from DC Comics. Let's take a look at the creative team behind this book. This book is written by Jackson Lansing and Colin Kelly, with art by Robert Carey, Valentina Tadeo on colors, letters by Tom Napolitano. Uh, I am a very big fan of these uh, teams in the DC world that are kind of on the fringe. And by the name, as you can see here, this is a new iteration of the Outsiders. This is completely different from the version that Batman has put together multiple times. And it looks like we're going to get a more of a Batwoman centric book. We also have a few other characters that you'll be familiar with. So let's see what's going on in this issue. In this issue, explore the forgotten corners of the DC multiverse with Batwoman and Luke Fox. A universe of secrets is about to come to light. Batman protects Gotham City from evil. Batman Inc. protects the rest of the unknown world. But what about the unknown world? What of the ancient evils of hidden tombs and forgotten tragedies from magic and mad science fueled superheroic century? Using his fortune, Luke Fox launches a new organization dedicated to shining the light into the world's darkest corners. His first recruit, Kate Kane, the Batwoman, who will re embrace her military background to protect Luke's dream and encounter every bit of strangeness in the DCU has to offer. And just you wait until you meet the third man, or learn what universe shattering secret they've discovered buried in Antarctica. The Outsiders is the return of a comic book archaeology digging into all the forgotten corners of DC's history to preserve, record, and better understand the nature of the DC multiverse and the forgotten stories that make up its fabric. Wow, what a great pitch for a book, and that really encapsulates everything that you read. Um, but I gotta say, the main thing that I really enjoyed about this book is the relationship between Luke Fox and Kate Kane. I think they are two characters that they are part. They're kind of part of the Bat family as far as like you know they work with Batman, but they're not in what I would call the inner circle. I think Kate and Luke both have a, a interesting relationship when it comes to with Bruce, uh, but they do have stuff in common. I think they know they can trust each other, and I think they're both very good at what they do. So I really appreciate that. I think it's a really interesting way to have these two characters team up. Um, so yeah, I think Lansing and Kelly did a really interesting job putting together a roster like this, and also to explore uh, a section of the world or the DC universe that maybe we haven't really gone into for a little while. So I think that's going to be really fun. So let's take a look at some of the preview art here. Now, I'm not very familiar with Robert Carey's work or the rest of the team, but to me, I really like the pacing of the book. I like the way that the conversations kind of flow here at the beginning. It was pretty easy for me to tell who the characters are, although once they get into the costumes, they are so much more recognizable. Especially Luke Fox, right? It's hard to tell when it's just like somebody in a suit, uh, because you're so much more used to seeing him in the Batwing outfit. But yeah, once everyone suits up, I really like the redesigns. I really like the new outfit. The colors are pretty cool, and then they get different little costumes uh, because we have to go on different kinds of missions. I love that. I love them using that. So you won't get to see those in the preview. You might get to see them in some of the variant covers, but yeah, check this out. I love this plane. What is this? This is the Luke Fox bat plane. I like the fact that Luke Fox is the one that still kind of has some money now that Bruce is broke, so he can do stuff like this. And then of course we get a lot of really cool action, and I just really like how um, in the fights here in the middle page, everything's obscured by the smoke, and you just kind of see the flashes of the muzzle, the flash muzzle as it goes off, and that's where we see the strikes and the fights. Really fun way to portray that. So, yeah, this one definitely something worth checking out if you want something a little bit different and off the beaten path, something that doesn't need years of continuity. I think this is a good book for that, and then something to explore uh, some of the depths of the DC universe, because these are not, I wouldn't call these characters like some at the top of the list of anyone. Uh, they're not the most popular characters, but I think they can be fun if they are explored by the right team. So, very cool stuff. Really cool variants, once again, as I mentioned at the end of the video. So, stay tuned for that. Hello, everyone. Daniel here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Speed Force #1. This is a new book from DC Comics. Let's take a look at the creative team behind this book. Um, This is written by Jared Williams with art by Daniel DiNicuolo, colors by Andrew Dalhouse, letters by Simon Bolin. So, in this book, from the pages of The Flash, Wallace West and Avery Ho bring the Speed Force into the dawn of DC. Wally and Avery are the young speedsters who have been in Teen Titans, Justice League, and all above members of the Flash family. As they become aware of a mysterious change happening in the Speed Force, they race to Keystone City, where they encounter some old friends, new threats, and a chance to forge their own paths. Spinning out of the pages of the Flash, the team of Jed Williams and Daniel DiNicuolo bring the next generation of speedsters into the dawn of DC. So let's talk about this book, because it's a really interesting premise that I don't think I was not fully hooked by the end of the first issue. I think this is something that I'm going to have to keep reading at least one more. I usually like to give a new series 3 issues to convince me to keep reading. And I know that's a big ask, but we do work with DC and they're able to give us some of these previews in advance. So I definitely want to give this series a chance. I think the art style, it's very fitting of a book that needs to be as dynamic as something dealing with the Speed Force. I think, as you'll see, there's some really fun characters here, including Superboy, which you'll see in the preview pages. And I think it's a fun chance to explore both Wallace and Avery and their new role in the DC universe now that the Flash book has kind of changed the feel of what it is, right? I think Cy Spears taking that Flash in a very different direction that may not always include the full family. So it's really interesting and fun to have DC give these other characters a chance. So let's take a look at the preview art here. First of all, I love that they're hanging out with Superboy. I love that they are just kind of hanging out too. Like sometimes seeing the downtime of a superhero can be a lot of fun. And it's just kind of a good place. It is a good way, a good pace to kind of get to know these characters. There's definitely a lot of narration because we have to get caught up on a lot of stuff. So the book definitely tries to bring you in. If you're a new reader, this book tries to give you all the tools that you're going to need. And I think it does it very efficiently. Now, part of that is that, part of having to go through so much dialogue, it slowed down the book. Usually, which for a Flash, but for a Speed Force book, you definitely think it'd be a little faster. But then, as I mentioned, the Nicolo's art, it is built for a book like this. Like, just the dynamic poses of the characters, all the lightning effects. Like, this is the Nicolo's forte, I think. So I feel like the team is very well set up for this. And as I mentioned, I hope that in the future, with the next issue, I can fully get on board, because this is a team of characters that I haven't explored much outside of their main Flash book. So, look, like with the Outsiders that also came out today, I like to check out some of these more unexplored corners of the DCU, and I think that's what this book is trying to do as well. So, yeah, I think if you're a fan of the Flash and if you're a fan of the Speed Force and you want to know more about that, you should definitely check this out. If you're a fan of any of these creators, I think they're doing a really good job trying to bring in a new audience to this book. So I'll definitely check out at least issue 2 to see if I can see the full picture of what the team is planning and really get hooked on this book. So hello, everyone. Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Batman and Robin number 3. This is a new book from DC Comics. Let's take a look at the creative team before we get into this book. This book is written by Joshua Williamson with art by Simone DeMeo, letters by Steve Wan, and of course some really cool covers, including one of them by James Stocco, who I love James Stocco art. So you'll see some of that at the end of the book, at the end of the video. So stay tuned for that. In this issue, Father and Son Prison Break, White Rabbit is a key witness in uncovering Gotham's newest criminal mastermind, Shush. And Batman and Robin realize the only way to keep her safe is to break her out of Arkham Tower, but Damian still has homework to deal with. Um, I think the thing that kind of has me a little weirded about this book is I don't know where this fits in the continuity. Like, I don't know exactly when this is happening, right? Because after the events of Gotham War, Batman and Robin are in a completely different place. So this really feels like a story that's a little bit out of sync with everything else, and that's not a big issue. I just think, like, as I put all these videos together week to week, like, I think about that stuff a lot because I want to know how things connect, especially to allow you guys to that are watching these videos to know if some of these books are connected or if you have continuity stuff happening. But that being said, this is another great issue of Batman and Robin. I think Joshua Williamson really manages to uh, capture the voices of both of these characters and their relationship very well. I really like this White Rabbit character that is kind of the the main force driving this, because trying to keep her protected from this new villain Shush. Also, we still don't know much about Shush, so we need to figure out what all that means. There's a lot of implications there with one of Batman's most famous villains, of course. So let's take a look at some of the preview art. And I mean, I say this every week, but or every time I talk about this book, but DeMille's art is just fantastic. I love their use of the paneling and the flashbacks. Like, everything is just like kind of a wash of a flashback color. In this case, we're using red for all the flashbacks, which really sets it apart from normal content from the story that's happening in the present. Um, and Joshua Williamson, I think, uses these flashbacks really well to illuminate and really show us how the dynamic between Batman and Robin is supposed to work. And then we go into the future. I just love that there's bats everywhere in this book. Like, bats have really been a big part of this series, which is amazing, especially because DeMille knows how to make him look super cool on the page. Like, just, I love the visual of the bats flying around here, and then we have these little, these 4 panels as we kind of have them there. So it just really makes for a good reading experience. Like I said, I'm really enjoying with White Rabbit. Like, White Rabbit is a fun character to follow around. These I forget what they're called, but they're like half animals, half human that are helping out Shush. I also love that Shush seems to be kind of like whispering at every turn. If you can see the letters, they're a little bit softer than some of the other dialogue on the page. So, like, all those little touches I think are really fun. And then just seeing the splash page of, like, the poses between Robin and Batman and everything that's happening around them. Like, these panels are literally happening around them, so we can kind of see uh, what's going on. They're assessing the situation. So yeah, this is just a really well constructed series that's supposed to be fun and full of action and full of this mystery and these ridiculous characters like these animal hybrids. And of course, I feel like Joshua Williamson has a really cool surprise for us with this new character that we've introduced. I also hope to see White Rabbit kind of stick around. I'm really, really having a good time with this character. And of course, the whole dynamic of, like, Bruce wanting to give Damian a normal life and sending him to school and all that, even though he's been brought up and educated by the League of Assassins. So, like, yeah, it's still very, very interesting. So, hello everyone, Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Green Lantern number 5. This is a new book from DC Comics. Let's take a look at the creative team before we get into this book. In this book, we have writer Jeremy Adams with art by Harmonico, colors by Romulo Fajardo Jr., letters by Dave Sharp. Now, I was lucky enough to meet Jeremy Adams a few weeks ago over at the Dallas Fan Festival. Um, and we talked a little bit about the series. Now, of course, he's not able to give me any spoilers, but he did mention that something really cool was coming up. And I think this is the beginning of some of that stuff that he was talking about. We have a few things that are still unanswered about the series, which include what's going on with Hal's ring because he's not able to leave Earth, but he's still able to use powers while he's on Earth. He doesn't know how reliable that is. Also, Sinestro's stuck on Earth because he also doesn't have his ring is not charged. So, what is he to do there? Like, he even tried to in the last issue to take Jordan's ring, and that didn't work out for him. So, in this issue, Sinestro's Red Lantern Rage. Sinestro has seized control of Farrah's air as the rage builds to cataclysmic levels within Hal Jordan's most vicious adversary. The power of the Red Lantern Ring has turned Sinestro's wrath into a planet-wide fury. Hal's only hope to break United Planets law and lure the villain into the final frontier. We also have in the back the continuance of the story, the rise of the Sin Sun, which is part two. So I'm not reading those at the moment. I want to read those all together once they come out. So I'll definitely be checking those out. But the main story is really cool, and it's the reason enough to pick up this book. So really having those backup stories, it's a very much welcome cherry on top. So uh, this issue was really interesting. Like the stakes are super high now. Hal Jordan is doing some really cool stuff. I really think that Jeremy Adams has captured a really fun voice of Hal Jordan. Sometimes he can be a little bit of a jerk. Sometimes he can be a little bit of a show off. But I think because he knows that he's not in the normal situation, the Guardians, he's disconnected from everything. He doesn't even fully understand his own ring. He's not in a he can't even be in a relationship with Carol at the moment, uh, because because of his situation. He doesn't know. Like it's very volatile, and they just haven't had a good time of it in the past few years. So yeah, really cool stuff. And then on top of that, Harmonico's fantastic art, Romulo Fajardo's beautiful colors, like just the colors of the screen, the big explosions, just everything. There's some really cool constructs all throughout this issue as well that I don't have any preview pages for those, but just know that Hal Jordan's imagination in this book is a lot more interesting than in some other places. So you'll see some really cool stuff being built. I love this page of Hal just flying out at its max speed. We get to see Green Lantern push his limits as well. So if you were ever interested as to how fast the Green Lantern can fly, if you were interested into what are the limits of these constructs, I think this book is really pushing that, which is really fun. And of course, once we have Sinestro kind of take the upper hand with this new power, I think things are going to get even more interesting. So yeah, this one, another really fun issue. Um, I really can't think of another Green Lantern series that I've read so much of, like month to month, in the past few years. So, really fun stuff. I think Jeremy Adams really knows how to do this kind of stuff, and he's been set up with a really great art team to really bring those stories to life. So, really enjoying this. I feel like we're coming to the end of the first arc, and things are about to get real heavy. I know the Night Terrors thing kind of took a little bit of the momentum out of the series because it happened in, I believe, issue 3 or 4, maybe, that it kind of took over. But yeah, we're back. We're back in full force. And I think this arc is going to be a lot of fun once we get to wrap it up. So if you have read this book, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments. As always, thank you for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live. That is most Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Stay tuned. We have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff in the channel. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye-bye.